This right here is my 1983 Honda CB550 Nighthawk. I bought this for dirt cheap. It sat outside for about 4 years. Now I'm actually talking to you from the future. I'm gonna pass it off to myself. About 3 months ago when I picked this thing up, bought it, barely running, clutch didn't work, and she had some other issues. So now I'm gonna pass this off to myself from the past to tell you the story. I did get the bike home and it ran actually all right. It is definitely down a cylinder or two, so we're gonna check compression. I did check spark. It does have spark, so that means it's either a carburetor issue or a compression issue. I'm pretty confident it's gonna be the carburetor issue, so I'm going to take these carburetors off and clean them up, see what we can do with those. But until I can do that, I'm just going to try to get this bike a little washed up, a little cleaned up, because it has been sitting for about 4 years, and maybe even find something to polish up this aluminum after it's running right. But I'm gonna fire it up and go over there. There's a wash bay, you know, wash her up. Now here's why I think it's a carburetor issue. So it's on. We'll put it in neutral. Fire this thing up. So it is already warm, very warm. I just rolled around for like 20 minutes. So it really won't idle unless you turn the choke on all the way. And then it's a high idle. Now if you play with the clutch, this, about halfway it tames down a little bit. Pretty good, then it kills and it dies out. So I think it's a carburetor issue, because if you give it more fuel, it runs happier. Then also, it was kind of sputtering and popping on a D-cell, which is kind of normal, but that's what I was thinking. So I am going to, oh, also there's fresh gas in there. I think I'm going to take those carburetors out and get them looked at. Okay, now we're going to diagnose the carburetor issue that I suspect we're having. And I know it is on this cylinder right here, because this is not very hot. All the rest of these, I don't have my temperature probe here, but I know all of those three are very hot, so that is an indication that they're firing. This is cold. Now it's warm just from the bike has been running, but it is far colder than the other firing cylinders. So what we're gonna do is I have some good old AutoZone carb cleaner, and I went ahead and pulled this boot off a little bit, and now I'm going to try to rev it up and spray this in there and see if there's an audible change in how it's running. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna try to rev it up a little bit and then shoot some of that in there. And we will see how it does. It should, if the carburetor is the issue, where maybe it's clogged in there and it's not actually getting the fuel to the intake, or through the other side and atomizing it properly, this will mean, so this will just force it through, and the cylinder should come back and you should be able to hear it. Now if this does nothing, then maybe we have a compression issue, we may have another issue. All right, here we go. Okay, so it definitely acted a heck of a lot happier and revved up pretty quickly once we sprayed that carb cleaner in there. I think the next thing we're going to try to do is rustle these carbs out. Now they're all one unit, so there's 4 carbs, 1 for each cylinder. I don't know, it's hard to see back in there. Now I got the carburetors rebuilt and reinstalled. Didn't film any of that, probably would have been smart to, but now they're back on the bike. We actually teleported to the other end of the state, and I can show you how this thing runs with the fresh carburetors on there. Remember that issue where it wouldn't rev up very much? It would just bog at about 3,500. That's not the case anymore. Really got to rev her out, get her warmed up. So here's got her all washed up. Now I have a functioning bike, fixed up for not too much, and I intend to put as many miles on it as possible, ride it everywhere, maybe pop a wheelie or 2 here and there, you never know. So that's the story of fixing and reviving my 1983 Honda CB550.